All right, everybody, we are back in the shop and back on Val and Steve Morris's 2010 4,000 horsepower drag and drive Camaro. And we need to get this thing all wrapped up so that we can fire it up probably next week, just because this is Thanksgiving week. Ricky's out to go down to his family down in Fort Lauderdale. Eddie's going to be going to a race in Virginia this weekend with Grant and Chuck with their NC Miata that used to be right there. Road racing. Yeah? No? Nothing? Not at all? No?
What?
Nothing? Said you're going road racing?
Yeah, you're not going.
I'm not going.
Yeah, we don't want you there.
Yeah, well, you know.
Well, when they
I am
have
faster
me,
than Chuck, so.
when they,
you know.
Oh, yeah. When they have me, they don't need you. Because, I'm the crew chief.
You are the crew chief? You are the crew chief. The I'm faster than Chuck thing is like an inside joke between me and Chuck. We ran a car at Sebring a few years ago and we're really close to each other, and I edged him out, but I got a really good toe
That's not
on
the
that one
story I
lap.
heard.
Not the story you heard.
I heard that you told him to slow down and conserve fuel or conserve the car.
No. Hold
Then
on.
you went back
Hold on.
and
Even me saying that, would Chuck have slowed down?
You're right. You're right. I mean, I think so.
No.
I think so.
No. Chuck is full send. Just like Grant is full send all the time. So, anyways, let's get through the intro and we'll talk about what all we're going to do here. And then we're going to be getting to work so we can get some stuff done. Here we go. All right, you guys notice anything different on the intro there? Figured I'd modernize it a little bit, bring it up to speed, put a couple extra clips in there from some of the last couple of years of racing, and even the very recent burnout thing down at Freedom Factory, which in the future, next couple of videos is going to be the 2.4 hours of Les Mullets and also the burnout contest. May be able to do two separate videos on that. And if I do split them up, the second one will be some data analysis from the burnout car, show you how hot that thing got. Everybody thinks the air inlet temps get super hot, so we're gonna look at that in the data log. I'm not sure if they do get hot. I don't think they do, because the air is going through there so fast that it doesn't have the opportunity to get hot. But we will learn that when we look at the data log together, and also look at some of the damage that the car took due to that fiery burnout. But anyways, also a reminder, Black Friday sale started with the last video and is going through December 1st at midnight, up to 30% off of some stuff, maybe even, was it 30% or 60%?
It was up to 60.
Up to 60%.
Some things are 60% off.
Yeah, we've got some stuff we're blowing out. It's old shirts, maybe some different sizes that we don't stock too many of, some old posters, lanyards, stuff we're gonna get rid of. We are also working on a poster for the burnout car, trying to get a super good clear shot of that fiery burnout that I didn't think that much of it in the moment. Just it's glowing, it's on fire. It's not a big fire, but the pictures and the videos just are awesome and kind of been making the rounds through social media. So you just never know when something like that is gonna turn out kind of cool. But anyways, back to working over here.
Oh, wait, we do that?
Yes, we do that.
Oh, I don't do that, though.
Oh, well, I mean, yes. Most, it's that 20-80 thing.
Oh,
like you work 20% of the time and...
Don't work 80% of the
Yeah,
time?
something like that. Something like
Sweet, works for me.
that. No, that's what already happens. Like, no, not so much?
No.
All right, so Eddie is working on the street fuel cell. And you guys may see that it's already put together partially, and that is because Ricky was working on it while he was here on Monday or Tuesday, I believe. And we need to get it finalized, and there's quite a bit of welding, and you may notice that we made this out of something pretty thick. And the reason, at least my thought process for making it extra thick, is because there's going to be a decent amount of fuel in here, and we do not want this thing to crack, fracture, start leaking, take an impact on the front corner, which we've got a little bit of extra protection. We'll show you for that probably later in the video. But we want this thing to be sturdy enough to support itself, not get bowed out. So we used 1/8 thick aluminum, which is definitely thicker than your average just cheap fuel cells. And it adds a little bit of weight to this, but kind of, at least the idea for, in my head, was that we were going to be removing this fuel cell at the racetrack. Well, we want to be able to do that super fast. So a couple of the things we're going to have to do is, let's see, the fuel pressure regulator, which obviously that's the top, and the fuel pump will be mounted in that. So that's going to end up sticking down in there. We are going to remake this because it was made for a shallower fuel cell that we decided not to use. But this is going to be at the top of the tank. The wiring goes through that hole right there. So that wiring, which I guess we have here, Holley's 2-wire bulkhead pass-through connector. We may switch it to a 4 and have a spare fuel pump already installed in the tank, so they can literally just unplug the one and plug it into the other and keep on trucking. I like to build spares into stuff because if you build a spare into it, it seems like you don't need it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like,
if you have it, how does it go?
It's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it.
There you go.
Yep. So this will be on a Deutsch connector. The fuel pressure regulator will be mounted right to the front edge of the tank, which this is actually the front edge, it's just upside down. And on the outlet of the tank, show the people how these work. Show the people. So on the outlet of the regulator will be a single line that runs up to the front of the car. That line will stay in the car, so this will go on the regulator.
And then you just do this. Oh,
wow.
Messed that up.
Wow. So that quick. And if we look, I did order the wrong one.
Or are those the leftover wrong ones from
Lee's?
From Lee's. And because I put it back in the parts room.
Oh, maybe I grabbed
the wrong one.
Gotcha. So anyway, it's supposed to be sealed up like that one. So I think I grabbed the wrong one out of the parts room when it came in.
Yeah.
And basically what that will do is you pop that off, they both seal up, there's minimal leakage. And then with just a couple of bolts, so this, which we'll show you in a second, this is going to saddle onto the tube at the back of the car, and it's going to weld to the corner of the tank here with some braces, and it'll have a small gap for us to run a clamp through. And with 2 clamps and 2 bolts that are up in the chassis, pop a Deutsch connector, pop the fuel line off, and the whole cell drops out. And that's probably going to be 40, 50 pounds of weight, especially if there's any fuel in it, because I think the cell empty is going to be probably 15, 20 pounds. And then you figure fuel, 6.5 pounds a gallon, I think, on regular street gas. So if we can just pop this out of there, that's a lot of weight we're not carrying, and it's also fire hazard that we're not carrying. So the idea is, and the car will be able to have a couple of different ways to be run. It'll have the ability to be on pump gas until it starts spooling and builds boost, or maybe when we arm the boost system, it completely flips to methanol and is on methanol the entire time from the pits to the starting line, driving it back from the top end of the track. Which is why we want the methanol fuel cell right here to be at least 6.5 gallons is the target number that we're shooting for, because that will give it plenty of fuel to get up there, make the run, we'll make the burnout, make the run, and drive back. And one major reason for doing methanol for the entire drag strip run is so that you get a nice clean reading on the spark plugs, because mixing the pump gas and the methanol, it just doesn't work out that great for reading spark plugs, especially once you start leaning on these things to make all the power that you want to make. Now, I still don't think they're going to be leaning on this thing to get 100% of the power out of it, because even you guys know how long Steve's been running his wagon, and I think he said he still has 20 psi of boost left to go, and he's already running 4 teens with that car. So the first time lapse here will be Eddie working on the fuel cell, getting it welded up, probably pretty much all the way, and then probably getting it mounted into the car. And then that'll probably be about all we have time for with that today. And I am going to be doing some wiring, which we'll show in a time lapse later in the video, and I will do some real-time stuff to explain that before I show that time lapse. So anyways, time for us to get to work and actually get some progress done on this thing. Here we go. Busted.
I knew this was gonna happen. It is 6:12 p.m.
Yep.
And who else is here?
Me.
Nobody.
Me.
No more employees.
Me.
Well, you know, you live here. Your name's
I'm
on the wall.
I'm over here. I don't live here. I'm over here doing wiring stuff, which you guys are gonna see in. Oh, there goes Grant.
That's our customer.
Yeah. That's normally how he leaves here.
Yeah.
And you're going racing with him this weekend.
Yeah.
Yep.
Excited.
But all right. So back on the fuel cell, and you can see we busted it back apart, or Eddie busted it back apart. Let's be accurate with this. Trim the hole for the fuel mount, fuel pump mount, and also I guess just the wiring pass through. That's got the vent in it also, which we are going to do something kind of tricky back here because it's so close to the floor for the vent. We'll have to see what we can work out with that.
We're gonna Kevinize it.
We're gonna Kevinize it,
Yeah.
yes. And it's gonna make the final install a lot cleaner, I think. Anywho, I also got the hole mapped out for the sending unit, for the fuel level sending unit. And I'm trying a new sending unit because some of my airplane buddies recommended this one to me. And if any of you have used a resistance-based fuel level sending unit, you may understand the struggle that I have had with them as well. For whatever reason, they are aggravating to get smooth, consistent readings with. It goes from like 100 and all of a sudden it's 0, and like there's barely any fuel level change in the car. So we're going to try this one because it has a 0 to 5 volt option. So I'm actually going to wire this up on the test, my test EFI. I've got a test harness for Holley EFI stuff. So I can test stuff on the bench without it being in the car. So we're going to wire this up to something, I guess, and see how it works. But basically it just goes in. And I guess once it's going to be a little tight there, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Supposedly it can be shortened. Like, maybe we read the instructions to see about shortening that a little bit.
Instructions?
Because if you're just going to tap those to send it in there, we'll see about shortening that, which it said if you do shorten it, you just have to calibrate it, but I was going to have to do that anyways. Yeah. Because like the airplane stuff, so if you've ever messed with airplane stuff, like everything is scienced out, predetermined, well-defined. Like, so this fuel level sending unit is for some kind of airplane thing, and you put it in this tank and you just select this sending unit in your Garmin, whatever, or your gauge, and it automatically is calibrated. It knows what to do, et cetera, et cetera. Well, we got a camera freaking out or something.
Go for it, Dad.
So, got to put a drain on the bottom of this that'll be up out of the way of, something hitting the bottom of it, just so they can drain it if they want to. And then deburr some of this stuff, and it'll probably be Monday, I guess, before you wrap that up, since you're gone Friday and Saturday with Chuck and Grant. Hopefully y'all bring back a W.
We're going racing. We gonna win.
At Virginia International Raceway, right?
Yep.
It's like an 8-hour and a 7-hour, something like that.
Yeah.
Cool.
So 8-hour Saturday and 7-hour Sunday, and then drive back Sunday night.
That's a good track.
Yeah.
Cool track. It's been a while since I've been there, but maybe
we could make that happen again.
We do have 2 legal champ cars.
I think, what you need to do? You should just let me and Drew just inherit the Z.
No!
You can't be that kid that's like, I don't want to play with my toys, but I don't want anybody else to play with my toys.
It's not that I don't want anybody else to play with them. We just got to put, I'm usually the one putting money into them so that I can rent them out to other people.
Right.
So
we'll put money into it, get it back running, and then if you want to rent a seat from us,
I'm not renting a seat in my own car.
You don't even use it.
That's not the way it works. So yes, I do have another car that has not even been seen on the channel that we'll go dig out of the trailer at some point. And it's a fun little car. Probably doesn't run anymore. Probably needs the fuel system rebuilt. A bunch of other crap. But we'll go get that dug out eventually. But in the meantime, I'm going to get back to work on the wiring. Actually show you the clip where I start on the wiring here in just a second. And then so I can get home and get out of here. So while Eddie's working on the fuel cell that you just saw, or while Eddie was working on the fuel cell, I am going to be working on wrapping up the injector harnesses, which we've got one made basically to the plug. Let me see if I can get this thing down and we'll show you what all we've got to do. All right, so like I was saying a second ago, I need to finish up the injector harnesses, which, as you can imagine, these need to go into there. And what this is going to be, for anybody wondering, street fuel system, methanol race injector 1, methanol race injector 2. So I have to build a harness that will be, you know, this injector, this injector, this injector, this injector. And then we build another harness that is the secondary injectors. And then it all gets heat shrinked, it all gets labels put on it, which I didn't label the ones underneath the intake manifold because that's pretty much on there. You're not gonna have to worry about it, messing with it. It's just gonna be what it'll be. But obviously I need to finish this and get it pinned into the connector. And what we do here is we take a 12-pin connector. These are some Deutsch connectors that we get from Wire Care, and they're a bulkhead Deutsch connector, so it's actually a sealed setup, which, let me see. Yeah, all of our wiring too, we get from Wire Care. We get our Deutsch connectors from Wire Care. Hopefully I have one more extra one. Yeah. So this is what that Deutsch connector looks like. Bolts up flush to the firewall. We did the trim piece around these because, like everything else, so if you imagine if there was a second one of these stacked over to the side, they would not be able to be this close. So what I did in typical Kevin fashion is I took and trimmed off on the belt sander. Let me make sure I'm showing this right. On the vertical bandsaw, first I skimmed this side of it over here.
There's one that's skimmed right there.
Where?
Sitting on the table right there.
Oh, there we go right there. So there's the modified one. So for the one in the middle, we do it to both sides. And then Eddie drew us up a nice little trim bracket on with CAD, and then we cut it out. Yeah, and then we cut the thing out, dressed it up, installed it into the firewall, and pin 1, which I don't think that's actually pin 1, but whichever one pin 1 is, goes to cylinder 1 all the way through number 8, and then that leaves 4 wires left. So what we do is we pair, like these two will be on the same power, these two will be on the same power, same with the other side, like they're paired on the power, but then obviously they each get an individual trigger signal to the injector. So my job for the next little bit is going to be finish the first one and then start making the second one, and you'll see I'm gonna have a mess here on the bench. We're gonna use some Tefsel wire, and we're gonna use some nice like boots and heat shrink, Raychem DR25 heat shrink, and try to get these things where it's sealed up, looks nice. It should work really well for a long time. So enough talking, time to get back to work.
I can't do nothing with you. I can't do nothing with you. I can't do nothing with you.
All right, well, we made some progress, and you may have gotten a glimpse of why these things sometimes, why they really always take longer than you think they're gonna, because this afternoon it was just Eddie, myself, and CJ. Tad is headed over to Daytona for the Turkey Rod Run, taking off for Thanksgiving. So it's just Eddie and I up here in the front shop. CJ's back in the back working on another Camaro, and a customer walks in. A customer that has been in many times before. I say customer very loosely because this particular fella has been in 10 different times, has never bought a thing. And we can't be rude to a walk-in customer. That's just not our style of doing things. We hope that he eventually buys something. He was asking today about a Holley EFI kit. We had it in stock. Showed him we sell it for the same price as you can buy it from Holley from. He was on the phone and couldn't get approval from his woman, mom, somebody. I don't know. But anyways, you know, it is what it is. It's a part of business. It takes you away from the project you're doing because normally Tad handles the invoices in the office, and that's just how it goes. And we do the best we can do with the opportunities that we're given, and you never know, maybe that person turns into a paying customer one day, and the time that we've invested into him is finally paid back. I guess you could call it that. So if you are a person that asks a company for advice or comes in and goes to your local speed shop and hits them up for a bunch of information and they're helpful to you, do them a favor back and buy something from them. Maybe it's a t-shirt. Maybe it's one of their stickers. Buy some kind of parts from them, because the time they spend working with you is time they could be doing something out in their shop probably to make some money. And the reality of a business is you have to make money to keep the lights on, and to pay for the internet, and to pay for the employees, and to pay for all that stuff. It's just a function of being in business. But enough of that rambling. Oh, and on that note, if you want to buy something from us because you like some of the information we get from you, give us a call. We can literally sell you anything that you see in any of the mail order companies on all of Holley's website, plus a lot of other vendors that aren't in those big companies like that, because people like TRZ Motorsports or AFCO Shocks or AFCO Radiators or Ballinger Motorsports. We deal with a lot of their electronic stuff, all kinds of good stuff. So hit us up, help us out if you want to. We would certainly appreciate it. It helps me, keep the employees paid, keep everybody happy, give everybody raises as often as we can, and keep moving the business forward. But anyway, as far as moving forward this evening, we got the one connector done here for the street fuel system. And then this is what the race harness is going to clean up like. So using the colored wire from the Holley harness so that we can tell which cylinder is which. And on the power side, I'm using 14 gauge because, as I mentioned earlier, it's two cylinders per red wire. So peeling off of our wire rack with all of the wire we get from wirecare.com. I love having a wire rack, especially one that's mobile, like having heat shrink up top plus the Tefsel, all sorts of different Tefsel sizes. And then on the back side is our just TXL wire for quick in and out jobs, not custom motorsport harnesses, because the Tefsel stuff, we try to use it as much as we can in builds like this, because in my opinion, it's the best wire you can get for this type of stuff. So you can see I write down all of my measurements for each different size wire, as well as the heat shrink, and that's how we bill the end customer. I did see some people asking get the heat gun off of the electrical cord there. But I did see some people asking about how we do the electrical stuff and how we bill for it, and that's how. I just write down everything that I use. So for this harness, we had 1/8 inch DR25 heat shrink, pretty long run there, and then we had a short run here, and then this piece right here is 1/4 inch. We used a splice connector in here to pull the 2 power wires together right at this joint. And then we did the same thing back here. There's a splice joint for cylinder 6 and cylinder 8. And then these labels and the clear heat shrink that goes over them is another operation. So heat shrink, put the label and then the over heat shrink on. Well, first we got to slide the boot on. So there's another part. So these custom harnesses, they add up to be a pretty good chunk of time. But you can't just go buy this harness. I mean, there are some companies that sell some really nice harnesses, like HCR Innovations. Devin Vanderhoof over there, he's a friend, and he does some awesome wiring jobs. And we try to do a lot of things that we see him doing, just because good wiring practices are good wiring practices, I believe. So we are doing our own flair with some things. We're the only company that I've seen using these. And we had these on Mullet that we started with way back in the day. They've been on Soccer Mom. So we've tested them out and had excellent results with them. So we just are going to keep doing it with all the other projects that we're doing. And we also may use this style connector for, say, under here to do the wiring for the chassis lights. Or I may just poke a little hole in there, just enough to get 2 wires through, and then put a little blob of silicone around it. And then maybe we just run a couple of zip ties around this bar here to put the chassis light up under this panel here. However we work that out. Or I might run those wires down underneath, because there's a hole we put in the frame rail with a tube that's got the starter wiring in it, as well as the alternator wire. And I think I'm gonna wrap up this right here to connect to the shock sensor plug right there. But that's gonna wrap it up for tonight, because I need to get home, get prepared for Thanksgiving. Huge happy Thanksgiving to everybody. I might actually get this edited and up on Thanksgiving, so hopefully you had a great time with your family, you're stuffed, and you're watching some KSR on YouTube. That would be cool. I'll probably be doing the same thing, or watching myself, that'd be weird. Watch some other channels for our Thanksgiving afternoon celebration, also known as nap time. Yep, gonna be nap time on after Thanksgiving afternoon. But anyways, thanks again for watching, subscribing, liking, commenting, all that great stuff. It helps keeping the channel going. And we'll see you guys in the next one.